over our answers. What is the y-intercept for f of x? Where does it cross the y-axis? And the scholars would write it as an ordered pair, 0, 4. What about for g of x? For me, the red function is what?
0,
Good. H of x. And we put them in parentheses because that means we can graph it. That means that we have an x and a y, and that's what we're doing. Now, the second one we didn't cover previously for x-intercept, but it basically means where does it intercept the x-axis? Where does it cross the x-axis? Let's look at f of x. Where does f of x, which is the black line, cross the x-axis? What number? Whoa, f of x, right there is where it touches. Wait a second, we're not writing it right. Whoever said 2, 0, you are correct. If you did not write 2, 0, erase your answer and put 2, 0. Let's talk about how come, because the x, on the x-axis first, we always do x, then y. It's alphabetical order. The x number is a 2, and the y value is a 0. It has to be that way. They're flip-flopped, the x and y intercepts. Now g of x. There we go. And lastly, good job, Miss Dodson. I heard you. Good job. And lastly, what do the graphs have in common? They have the same slope. Have the same slope. And somebody said that they are parallel. That's a good thing to write down. We're going to use that in Unit 11. There's another thing that they have in common. They're all linear. And they have the same slope. The slope is -2, by the way, just in case. I want to write that down as well. Anybody say anything else? Oh yeah, that's good. They all have the -2, which means the slope is -2. Lastly, what we did on this side is we have 3 functions. We have 1/3 x minus 3, and 1/3 x plus 1, and 1/3 x. Is this graph 1? Is it graph 2? Is it graph 3? Let me look. And you guys say?
2.
I agree. 1, I agree. 3, I agree. We turn this over. We're done with that side. Readjust the camera. Right here it says, for the form y equals mx plus b, how does the changing value of b affect the graph of the equation? What does that change? It changes the y-intercept. It changes the y-intercept. We're going to be more specific on this in just a little bit. It's going to shift. Let's write that down right now. It's going to shift the graph by b units vertically. Let's write that down. Shift the graph by b units vertically. I want to show you what I mean after you're done writing that down. Let's take a look at those 3 graphs we had on the back of the bottom here. They all have the same slope, but they have different y-intercepts. Let's look at this graph, which is graph 3. And then let's look at this one, which is +1. It's the same graph, except this is shifted up 1. If I look at this and it's minus 3, it just shifted this graph down 3. This shifts the graph vertically by that many units. And I'm going to prove it to you when we get to questions like number 7. Here's number 7. Absolute value of x. We're going to plug in negative 2 into this function. Do you know what the absolute value of negative 2 is? If you're not sure what absolute value means because your 4th or 5th grade teacher never taught you, absolute value means how far is this from 0? How far is negative 2 on the number line? How far is negative 2 from 0? It's 2 units away. That's what that means. And distance is always positive, no matter what we do. The distance from negative 1 to 0, how far away is it? It is 1 unit away. That distance is always positive. It doesn't matter. We're going from negative 1 to 0. Plug in 0. How far is 0 away from 0? How far away is 1 away from 0? Distance is always positive. And how far away is 2 away from 0? And you get these ordered pairs. And now you can plot them. 0, 0. Negative 1, 1. The x is negative 1. Let's label our graph. The y is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 2, positive 2. The x, then the y. X, then the y. X, then the y. 1, 1. 2, 2. What I'd like you to do is that we've done these ordered pairs. It should be V-shaped. Let's connect the dots. And we have our first function, the absolute value function, as follows. Now, I know you do not have one of these. I would doubt that you would. But I'm going to show you number 8. Number 8 says, now use a graphing utility to graph y equals. Well, guess what I have? I have a graphing utility. And I'm going to graph y equals the absolute value of x. See how I have that there? I'm going to press graph. It's going to take the function and it's going to plot them into a graph. Which is an expensive way for you to know what's the graph look like. It looks like the V-shaped graph, right? So take your ruler. It costs a lot of money for these things. So using our graphing utility, I've graphed that one. So far, so good. Now guess what we get to do? We get to do all these functions together on the same graph. Did we already do this one? I'm sorry, f of x. Did we already do f of x's function? What does it look like? The V right down the diagonal, right? Like make sure you're going from this corner to the origin. Make sure you're going from this corner to the origin and connecting your dots. And we're going to label that f of x. That's our first function. Now guess what it tells us to do on the same screen. So guess what that means? I have to do this on here first so you can see it. Okay, there are my three functions. You see them. I'm going to put them off to the side, but I'm going to put my graphing calculator here. And then I'm going to bring up absolute value of x plus 2. That's my second one. It's going to graph it in red. I don't know if you can see that on the screen or not, but it is in red. And the third one is absolute value x outside of parentheses minus 4. You see how it has the blue one, then the red one, and it's going to graph the last one in black. Here you go. Blue one, red one, black one.
No. What?
Let's copy those graphs
Oh my gosh.
for number 9.
That was pretty cool.
The red one looks like this. The bottom of the point, the vertex is at +2 on the y-axis. And then it goes out along the diagonal, like this. It goes along the other diagonal as well. And then I want to label it as g of x, so I know that it's the red one. Go ahead and make sure that you have copied that one out as well. Good. I forgot to underline that g of x is in red. I'll do that. And now I'm going to do h of x, but for me I'm going to do mine in highlighter. It's down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just so I have a different color. Down the diagonal. And I'm going to call that h of x. I can't really read it, so I'm going to go over it again with the dotted line just so I could see it. Make sure you can see it. I'm hoping you're going to be able to answer what the y-intercepts are, what the x-intercepts are. I'm going to give you just a little bit of time to answer 9A and 9B. I'll stop the recording for you.